Proud of You is a parenting advice podcast and support group for dads hosted by two goofy dads. They are not pediatricians, nutritionists, OBGYNs, psychologists, nor are they authorities on parenting. They're just two dinguses trying to figure it all out. Their advice should not be taken as expert information. Parenting looks different for everyone, and there's no wrong way to be a dad. Frankly, if you're taking the time to listen to a podcast about it, you're already doing a great job. And these dads are proud of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Welcome back. I'm Derek Mata.
And I'm Andrew Goody, and we are proud of you. This week, we are piggybacking off of part of the conversation from last week's episode, because I mentioned that I don't leave the house in flip-flops and basketball shorts because I don't leave my house unless I can run, fight, and change a tire on my car in what I'm wearing. So this week, we're talking about dad preparedness.
Which is dad preparedness goes from obviously the infancy to teenage years.
Totally.
Because again, like fight, change a tire, or whatever the other thing you said, I forgot. Like my memory's shot because I'm getting older in age here. And those listening, yes, I know I'm making a joke here, but yeah, like I will do flip-flops. That is the extent of my laziness. But so let's start with you here. How do you leave the house? Because you have a toddler at this point. She was recently an infant. So when you leave the house, what are some of the must-haves for you?
So this conversation is interesting, right? Because I've always been kind of I never lost my Boy Scout mind, right? Like I'm always prepared for anything. And so I've always had that. Even before I had a kid, there was a certain like checklist of things that I'm not leaving the house with, right? Like I have my EDC, my everyday carry. Like I've got my standards that just are things that, and it's not necessarily like a comfort factor, right? Like if I leave my house and I don't have a multi-tool on me, I'm not necessarily like uncomfortable, but that reduces my options if something comes up, right? I like to be prepared. I like to be able to tackle whatever comes up. And so
my question is like, okay, so with the multi-tool, because I'm taking it from my own standpoint. I know there's probably a lot of dads, a lot of people listening to this. How often have you needed to use that multi-tool when you're out? Because I could not think of the last time that somebody's like, hey, could I use a screwdriver? I'm like, oh yeah, I got you, and pull it out of my pocket.
So I think there's an interesting piece here. Needed and wanted are two different things.
Okay, fair.
I don't always need a screwdriver on me. But when I'm over at a friend's house and the batteries in their kids' toys die and they have fresh batteries in their kitchen drawer and I have a screwdriver in my pocket, I can pop the back off of that thing, throw some new batteries in, and now the kids are happy. And I was able to, fix that problem for the situation. Would it have been okay if I didn't have a screwdriver? Could I have found one at my friend's house, or could the kids have waited to have the batteries in that toy replaced? Obviously, of course, that is not life or death, right?
That's fair. And I think my thing is so using this example is like, we are both car people. So I have about 100 screwdrivers laying all across my household. But so probably not the best example of a tool. So a multi-tool has what? At least 6 different tools. When was the last time that you needed this multi-tool, or wanted this multi-tool? Like sell it to us dads.
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. Like I think my philosophy personally, and this goes down more like the like personal EDC path, but it really carries into what my like dad EDC is, right? And we'll talk about that. So what I was about to say is there's what I carry, and then there's like things that I carry specifically because I have a kid, and then there's like diaper bag, right? But
Fair.
as far as like my personal philosophy on what I keep on my person, it's a two-pronged approach, right? Carry what you need and need what you carry. So like I have accumulated, because I'm a gear junkie, I have accumulated a lot of like weird, cool stuff where I'm like, oh, I'm going to carry this on my person, or I'm going to add this to my backpack that I bring with me, or I'm going to throw this in my diaper bag because I want to take this with me. And then I carry it for a couple weeks and I'm like, I have not used this thing once in 14 days. It is taking up space on my person. It is taking up weight on my person. I'm not using it. I no longer need it. And I've also encountered situations where I'm like, man, I wish I had XYZ, right? And I'll add something to my situation. And then if that comes up multiple times where I'm like, man, I wish I had this. Man, I wish I had this. Man, I wish I had this. Okay, I'm going to start carrying that thing. Because there have been several situations where I'm like, man, I really wish I had a napkin on me right now. And that was one time. And I started carrying a napkin and then I realized I don't need that. Right. Like, or whatever the case may be. Like,
Yeah.
So like as far as a multi-tool goes, like so literally sitting here right now, I have a Leatherman on me because I literally always do. This thing has a knife on it. I use the knife pretty regularly. The biggest thing with multi-tools and Swiss Army knives, having scissors on you is actually really convenient. Again, do I need a pair of scissors? 99% of the time, no. Does that little string that's hanging off of my shirt bug the hell out of me and I wish I could get rid of it? And if I had a tiny pair of scissors, I could get rid of it easily? Yeah. And like, especially Alana is a really, and Alana and Emily are both very, very, like tactile and touch sensitive, individuals. And so things like loose strings or like, I mean, that's the biggest thing is like loose strings on clothing will just drive both of them nuts, right? And like I have turned Emily's day around where like we were out at a farmer's market and she was in a terrible mood. And I figured out that it was because there was a little string on the edge of her shirt that was tickling her in a weird way that was bothering her. And by cutting that string off, it turned what was a very bad day for both of us into a very good day for both of us because it completely shifted her mood, right? Sorry, honey, if you're listening, it's true and you know it. And I've seen the same thing in Alana. And then also obviously like with a Leatherman style multi-tool, like your biggest thing is like, this is a pair of pliers, right? And so like, do I need a pair of pliers constantly? Do I need, and like, it's a combo tool, right? So it's a pair of pliers and a pair of wire cutters. How often am I like tightening bolts or grabbing stuff or cutting wire? Not super often. How often do I use this thing to grab something that is easier to grab with this than it would be to jerry rig? Especially like these are needle nose, so they get into tight places, right? Like getting something out of that weird little spot where a piece of one toy got shoved into the slot of another toy, or I dropped something down a grate, or like there's so many situations where it's just nice to have that kind of like dexterous pincer. Could I mock it up with 2 sticks and pull some chopstick action to pull that thing out? Sure. Could I wait and fix a lot of those things later? Sure. Is that kind of lame to me because I can carry this cool thing that I enjoy in my pocket and it solves that situation? Also, sure. Like,
okay, so like fair, all fair points, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, our actual EDC like Second Amendment items here.
yeah.
It's better to have and not need than to need not have. So that, I mean, I think that's what you're trying to get at here.
Yeah. So my thing is, I like having options, right? And we won't, because we're operating primarily on a YouTube platform, we won't go down the Second Amendment route too much. But
Yeah.
Just because you have something doesn't mean that you have to use it. And that kind of falls into that need what you carry what you need philosophy is like I carry a multi-tool, and really like I could just carry that multi-tool and it'd cover 90% of what I need, right? Like the rest of, like, I carry a knife, like a dedicated knife. Do I need that? No, because my multi-tool has a knife on it. I like it because it's more comfortable and it's cool and I enjoy it and it gives me a sense of pride of ownership and enjoyment. But like it's redundant to that multi-tool. Um, but like there's a lot of things like that that are just kind of dedicated tools that bring you joy and give you options. Um, which I think that's the need versus want side of it, right? Is like I don't necessarily need to carry a multi-tool, but by carrying a multi-tool, I give myself a lot of options where instead of, hey, the batteries in my kid's toy died, my only option is to wait until I get home because I don't have a screwdriver. Now, maybe I do wait until I get home because that toy was bugging the shit out of me and I don't want to put fresh batteries in it. But if it was bringing my kid joy, maybe I'd change those batteries out and I can
Yeah, I
do
mean,
that right there because I've got a screwdriver and I'm ready to tackle that issue.
and so, let's getting off this multi-tool thing. So let's go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to the basketball shorts thing because like you make a lot of good points with the multi-tool. Like honestly, maybe a lot of us dads should carry a multi-tool. At minimum, as dads, carry it because you never know what situation. A random string, a loose screw, a or batteries need changing, that kind of thing. Like let's go with the basketball shorts. Like I will not leave my house with basketball shorts.
Yeah.
I personally think it's lazy. Also, you can't carry anything in your shorts because it weighs the
That's
shorts down.
yeah, that's I mean, honestly, that's the biggest reason why I don't leave the house in basketball shorts is because that aforementioned checklist of like must have these things before I leave the house doesn't ride in basketball shorts. It doesn't work, right? I can't this is a 7 ounce multi-tool. If I put this in basketball shorts, it's gonna pull them right down.
Exactly. And you got to think like as men, we do the what? The keys, the wallet, and the phone check. You're like,
Yeah.
and if everything's sitting in the front, yeah, it's and yes, there's drawstrings, and we're not going to get into all that bullshit. But like, I don't think basketball, for one, like I said, I think they're lazy, and I don't think they are. Um,
They're just
what's the
not
word I'm looking
practical.
for? There we go. They're not practical for carrying anything more than two items.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
hey,
maybe you could.
if you leave the house with your wallet and keys and that's all you need, basketball shorts are great. That ain't me, babe. Like,
I like, and I think I said it on our last podcast. Like, I will leave in basketball shorts if I'm going through the drive-through because then I could just put everything in the car,
yeah.
knowing everything I need is there. But if I have
Well,
to walk somewhere, I won't do it.
well, and so this takes us down an even deeper philosophy, right? Because like I also will wear basketball shorts through a drive-through because I have a knife and a multi-tool that live in my car. So I have those things that are with me and I don't need to worry about taking them because if I need them, they're still there. They're just not on my person directly.
So you got me there,
Yeah.
because I will carry the same few items in my hands and put them where I need them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But let's kind of reel it back to our everyday normal dad here. Diaper bag kind of thing. We'll start with the infancy, like your diaper bag, the necessities that you absolutely need in your diaper bag. Like what did you make sure that you had at all times?
So I will say absolute necessities, diapers, obviously. It's called a
Yeah,
diaper bag. Um, diapers and wipes because
you got to.
clean clean it up. Even if it's not like you need them for a diaper change, your kid gets into something sticky, you touch a weird thing. Like baby wipes are great all the time for
Yeah.
everyone, whether you have a baby or not. But like diapers and wipes are unarguably the bare necessities there. Um, I had and I actually still have. We have two diaper bags. We have the diaper bag that is our dedicated diaper bag, and then I have a diaper bag that's kind of like my dad bag that functions as a diaper bag. Which is essentially like if Emily is just going to the store to grab groceries and not going to a play date or a specific event, she doesn't take the diaper bag. She takes her purse, and her purse has diapers and wipes in it.
Okay.
I have a dude purse, which is just a purse, that has diapers and wipes and also some other stuff that I carry in it. So like we have the small diaper bag option and then the big diaper bag option. The big diaper bag option, for my money, having a change of clothes for the kid, in case you have a diaper blowout, in case you get into mud, in case you get wet, whatever the case may be, having a change of clothes for your infant. Or I mean, if you have multiple kids, maybe one for each kid. I don't have multiple kids, so I've never really thought that deep about the philosophy. Maybe you can speak on that, Derek.
I mean, yeah, you obviously want to make sure each kid, because we have done it, make sure each kid does have a change of clothes, because accidents happen, shit happens, kind of thing.
Totally. When I like before I had a baby, all of the like childbirth education classes and talking to friends and everything and information online always said have a change of clothes for the parent as well.
That's interesting.
I think it's
It,
wild.
it,
So here's the thing. It
real quick,
can come in handy.
it does. Okay, so yes, it will, because a couple months ago we went to one of the pet stores. They were doing the puppy adoption thing. Noah wasn't feeling the best and threw up on April.
Yep.
So she needed a new change of a new shirt, a new top, whatever. She didn't have one. We did not have one in the diaper bag. We had a jacket in the car that she was thankfully able to change into. So I will say, like, I did not know that. That makes sense. So I would say yes. Make sure you have at least a different shirt.
That's literally what I was gonna say is I will I'm a jeans dad. I wear jeans basically all the time, right?
I'm wearing them right now.
Like there is no world in which I am going to give up the space and weight for me to have a spare pair of jeans in a diaper bag. That is so much room and like I mean it's not that much weight because it's cotton, but like it takes up a lot to have a pair of jeans. It takes almost nothing to have a spare t-shirt. And especially when you have an infant that is,
Or toddler.
burping, like, your baby's throwing up on your shoulder a lot when you have an infant, most of the time for a lot of kids. And like, yeah, you've got burp rags and stuff like that, which I will say when I had an infant, burp rags were like an indispensable item to keep in
Yes.
the diaper bag. But just having a spare t-shirt to be like, oh, my kid threw up on me, I'm gonna change my shirt really quick. Invaluable, like so great. Because one, the way that you present yourself to the world, everybody sees you as who you are, and like that only matters so much to certain people, but like it is the way that everybody perceives you, right? And if you
Yeah.
walk into a place covered in baby vomit, you give off a certain vibe that maybe you don't want to give off. And
Yeah,
so
like it's
having
all
having
right.
that having that fresh shirt to just be able to throw on beyond how you're perceived, you will feel so much better not having your baby puke on you, right? Like it
Yes.
just you are not a bad dad for having baby puke on your shoulder, but it can feel that way. Like it can feel like, oh man, like I missed that, like my kid threw up and I didn't have a burp cloth and I'm just feeling bad about it, right? Whereas you throw on that fresh shirt and you're like, I'm fresh, I'm ready to take on the day. Let's go.
Everybody can understand dirty jeans. The
Yeah.
shirt, like everybody expects you to have a clean shirt. I don't know why it works that way, but it does. But like again, having that fresh shirt for you and your significant other, like yeah, have that, because we recently did experience that. Me, I'll walk around and get fucked. Like I'll have a hole in my shirt.
Yeah,
But it's a good thing to have, because
totally.
who knows what will happen. Your kid will be like, "Mom, Dad, look," because of some random shit they found, and boom, mud splatter. Now they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we were gonna go to lunch after this." Like I'm making it make sense to all of our listeners.
No, totally, totally.
Like
And
put it in
like
your
and
bag.
it's one of those things, I mean, it's just a practical thing, right? Like what's the risk versus reward of it, right? Are you willing to give up that weight and that space to carry that extra thing? For my money, knock on wood, I guess, I don't think that Alana has ever thrown up on my pants.
That's fair.
She's definitely thrown up on my shirt. And so carrying that lightweight thing, that extra piece of clothing, and it was super easy for me to throw two shirts, right? Like a t-shirt for me and a shirt for Emily. Um, yeah, women in our society have it nice. You can actually get a really lightweight dress, and then that's tops and bottoms. Just keep a spare dress
Boom.
in your diaper bag. You're good to go. Um, but like, or if you're just like a super confident dad, just keep a spare dress in your size in the
You
diaper
know what?
bag, I guess.
Do what you got to do. We're not judging here.
Um, when Alana was like an infant, I kept a swaddle in the diaper bag. Um,
Okay, we did too.
it was rarely used, but when it was, I was always glad that it was there. Um, Also, if you have like muslin swaddles that are like that kind of thin, if you don't know what muslin is, it's like a thin cotton fabric.
I think
That
I know what
can
you're talking about.
double as a burp rag or a wipe or whatever, because you can clean up a mess with a cloth swaddle. So it kind of becomes a multifunctional thing where like, hey, I have this swaddle so I can swaddle my baby, or it can work as blanket, or it can work as a wipe, or it can work as,
Yep.
it you're in a real bad situation, you need a MacGyver something, it can work as a diaper.
Thankfully, I have never been in that situation, but I do know that it does happen.
Totally.
Um,
I've
Sometimes
I
you just got to make do.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing is like I've always, again, because I'm always preparedness minded, I've always had diapers on me, but I have seen dads, which also, not to go off on a tangent here, it allows you to help other people, right? I don't just keep one diaper and one wipe in
No,
our diaper bag. I
always
have a
multiple.
pack of wipes, and if it is fully stocked, I have 5 diapers of the size that Alana is in right now, which means that when we're hanging out with other parents who have kids that are roughly her age, which is usually who we're hanging out with when we're hanging out with other people, or if I'm at the park and some dad or mom or whatever is dealing with a kid's blowout and they left their diaper bag at home or whatever the case is, I have extras and I can help and I can be a member of our community and assist in that way, and say, hey, here's a diaper, go fix your kid. Like,
Yeah, like, and sometimes like we 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 want that person to approach us and help us because let's say our kids are infants and they have a blowout and we're looking around like I don't know how to handle this, like, and you come up to me and you say, hey, I got a diaper and some wipes, you're gonna make my fucking day. Like,
Yeah.
it never hurts to be over prepared because you never know what somebody else is going through. Because I will say there are times that I took the wipes out for changing a butt and I forgot to put them back, or I used the last diaper and my intention was to replace them when I got home and I didn't because I was just unprepared. Like, be willing to help somebody else out, like approach somebody because again, we're all human, we all make mistakes.
Totally. So piggybacking off of that, I will say diligence in restocking is something that we all strive for, and we're all gonna fuck up, and that's why it's important to carry your fellow dads. But if I take Alana somewhere and I change her diaper while we're out, I make a mental note that as soon as I get home, I need to put a diaper in the diaper bag. Um, because I'm gonna run out if I don't, right?
You're a better man than me because my intentions are always good. Again,
I
you
mean,
mentioned three
intentions and
things.
executions are two different things.
True. You mentioned three things, and within 30 seconds, I forgot them. I intend, hey, I use this diaper, I need to replace it. And it's usually I run into a situation, and I couldn't tell you the last time, but I know it has happened. Like, oh, fuck, I need this, and I don't have it. Um, so
Yeah,
I have been that dad. So just so you know, we are all human. Don't feel bad if you're listening to this thinking like we're perfect because I'm fucking
we are
not.
not perfect. Yeah. Um, so within and restocking, it's always the thing that hits my brain when I think about restocking. Um, for me, and just as a little bit of background, I have a somewhat medical background. Um, I always make sure that I have a first aid kit in my diaper bag. Um, in a perfect world, I would love to carry a first aid kit with me everywhere I go. That's just not practical to keep on my person, right? Because I'm not walking around in like military BDUs every day, where I have a spare cargo pocket available to
Also,
carry a
way to
first
age
aid kit
yourself
in.
about 20 fucking
Yeah,
years.
whatever. Um, but
Keep going.
but like uh I keep a first aid kit in my car. I have a first aid kit at home. Um and I have a first aid kit in my diaper bag. So in the big diaper bag. Actually, I have a light first aid kit in my dad diaper bag and a full-blown first aid kit in my actual diaper bag. But that's huge, and especially as your kids get older, right? I think that's less significant with a toddler or sorry, with a newborn or an infant, because 9 times out of 10 you're holding that baby, or if they're interacting with the world, they're doing like some tummy time on a pretty soft surface.
Yeah.
Once you have a toddler who's running, jumping, climbing trees, and even more so when you have a kid, right? A like 3 to, I don't know, teen-year-old that is like jumping off shit they shouldn't be and really testing their limits and running super fast on asphalt. Like, I cannot tell you how much just having a pack of band-aids and some Advil has saved the day for some of my friends and some of my friends' kids, and even just like putting a bluey band-aid on Alana for that little scrape that she got on her knee because she fell and it hurts, you know? Um, but that's another thing where like every time I use a band-aid, I'm like, that's one more for the band-aid box that I need to add more band-aids into, like, because you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, I have a first aid kit. And then you open up that first aid kit and you're like, cool, I have a gauze pad. How are you doing?
I will say, like, that is a smart thing to have. Like, so um we have a first aid kit that we keep in our cabinet downstairs. So when the kids are like, I have a boo-boo, I need a band-aid, like, wait till we get home. But like, again, you take your kids to the park, you would be my fucking savior here because they want a band-aid then and now, and I don't have it. At some point, we did have a first aid kit in the car. We don't anymore. I don't know why. But good thinking to put one in the car. For any dad, go to Amazon. You probably buy one for what, $20? Don't quote
Or
me on it.
less. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get an ouchie boo boo kit that's basically just like band-aids and an alcohol swab and a couple
Some
of
Neosporin, like
aspirin
some.
for like $5. Like, you can totally take care of that. I will say, while we're talking about medical, again, this kind of goes to my background a little bit. Knowledge is power. If you want to be a prepared dad, take an infant CPR class, take a child CPR class,
Yep.
take an adult CPR class, learn how to give a Heimlich maneuver. Um, there are some basic skills that you can spend 20 minutes to an hour learning that can literally save a kid's life or a person's life if you're around them when that is needed. Um, don't carry stuff in your first aid kit that you don't know how to use.
Yes.
I've run into people who carry an EpiPen in case somebody is having an allergic reaction, but haven't been trained on how to use that. And like, an EpiPen is pretty straightforward. You put it into a large muscle group and you press a button, but like, just practice the things that you're going to need in a life-saving situation, right? Or in a health caregiving situation. Because it doesn't make any sense to have things on you if you don't know how to actually use them correctly. And that knowledge that you carry, you don't necessarily need anything on you, right? I don't have to carry anything to be able to provide CPR for a kid who's drowning.
Mhm.
I spent 20 minutes learning that and have practiced it. I mean, in my case, religiously for years now, but you know, if that comes up, that's something that I have that I'm carrying in my brain. It doesn't take anything extra on my body. It doesn't take that extra space or weight that I mentioned in the diaper bag. It's purely something that I know how to do in case the worst day of somebody's life happens.
Yeah. So like, thankfully, in the military, you have to be CPR trained. Um, so I know if it and Heimlich maneuver trained, like, so I know if one of those situations happens, I can do it. Again, like you said, learn those things. You could probably find free seminars, free whatever you want to call them, or if it costs a little bit of money, spend that money. Like, I can guarantee the couple dollars it's going to take is going to be worth it to save somebody's life. Because again, like, why would you carry an EpiPen? Why would you carry a defibrillator if you don't know how to use it? Or how good are you going to be in a situation if your kid is choking? How many of our kids have choked on their snacks? Okay, like you're trying out a new snack. Let's say grapes, hot dogs. Those are just the two big ones that April has always mentioned in our household. Like that little bit of time, that little bit of money is going to be worth it in the long run. I am with you on that one. Learn those skills. But going back to just the simplicity of it, of the first aid kit. Yes, I need to have every dad should have a simple, what did you call it?
An ouchie boo boo kit.
There we go.
It's an I got hurt, help me kit.
So
You don't need to know how to suture your child, right? Like if your kid needs stitches, call an ambulance.
Yeah, take him to the damn hospital.
If your kid has a concussion, go to the hospital. If your kid has a small cut or an abrasion or something that hurts, and it would be really nice if it had some Neosporin and a Band-Aid on it, carry some Neosporin and a Band-Aid. It's not going to ruin your life to have that extra pound on you.
My kids are all about, they want to come home and have a Band-Aid, but again, it goes to that you're at the park, your kid fell down. Be that hero dad. I have an IFAK kit because of my military days. I hope to God I never have to use the tourniquet that is in there.
Yeah, man.
I don't know how many Band-Aids are in there. So I, have that again, whatever you called it, the ouchie boo boo kit.
And so like that's something, again, I don't want to get too deep into the woods here, but like we loosely mentioned some Second Amendment accessories that Derek and I tend to carry. There are a lot of people who have upon their bodies a Second Amendment accessory that don't have a first aid kit. And the reality is, if you need one, you're probably going to need the other. So like at any given time, if I have that one thing on me, I also have a tourniquet and at least 2, if not 4 chest seals, because problems happen when another person has a Second Amendment accessory and I have a Second Amendment accessory, and we get into a battle of wits.
I don't know how the fuck you pull
trying
this
to
off.
Avoid the YouTube algorithm here.
But yes, you're totally right. Like, you never know the situation. Obviously, prepare for the scrapes in the knees. It never hurts to be over prepared for the quick clot or the tourniquet. Like, if you have those, great. That is not a necessity for. Have some Neosporin, have some Band-Aids, have some, what's one more thing? Burn cream, because hot slides, right, dude?
Yeah, especially in Arizona, honestly, carrying some burn gel with you. Yeah, like no joke, whether it's metal or plastic, slides can burn the flesh off of your kid, and it sucks. Which, I mean, part of this is common sense, right? Don't put your kid on the slide when it's 110 degrees, but sometimes you're not paying attention and your kid runs down that slide anyway. Or your kid runs up to the stove at your friend's house and touches their super hot cast iron that they're making dinner in, and your friend is not a prepared individual and doesn't have burn cream and Band-Aids and Neosporin on them or in their house at all. Don't expect other people to save you. That's the core foundation for preparedness for me, again, is I'm taking care of me. I'm taking care of my family. Like, that's my job. I exist to be the patriarch, as much as I hate that term, of my family. So if something happens to my kid, I'm going to handle it and I'm going to be prepared for it. I'm not going to be reliant on calling 911 and waiting for help. I'm not going to be reliant on hoping that some other dad was more prepared than me. I am going to have those things on me and be prepared. And like, I do not judge other dads who choose to make different decisions, but that is the decision that I will make day in and day out. And I will stand my ground and defend my decision to be in that position, because I have helped my child, I have helped my partner, I have helped myself, and I have helped other dads and other dads' kids so many times that I'm going to continue to rock the loadout that I'm carrying.
I will say, like, if you disagree, if any dads or moms or anybody listening to this disagrees, like, please educate yourself on alternatives, because nothing is more important than the lives of our children and our significant others. Like, we as men are tough. You and I, we're like, we will jump off a bridge and we'll be fine, and we'll be like, we'll fix it later. Like, take care of your kids, take care of your kids' mothers. Like, just know, like, you should be wanting to be responsible for them.
Yeah.
I know that, shit happens again. We make mistakes. If you come to my house and you took your shit out because you wanted to put some band-aids in it, forgot to put it back in your car, you know that you can rely on me, because that you and I are the same person.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure your kid's okay at my house, and you're going to make sure your kid's okay at my house too.
Totally. And a big part of this leans to knowing who your party is, right? Like, that's the military and D&D nerd in me. Like, know who you're with. The loadout that I take to Derek's house might be different than the loadout that I take to somebody else's house, because I know that Derek has that mindset.
That's right.
Whereas I either don't know that my other friend has that mindset, or know my other friend doesn't have that mindset. You don't have to carry excess garbage, right? Like, everything, and that's the reality of, like, what you carry on yourself. Like, everything comes at a premium. Like, everything is space and weight and I mean, I guess just space and weight constrained, right? Like, everything is fighting for a spot on your body, and it costs space and weight to have that thing on you. If I know that Derek has band-aids at his house, I don't need to give up that space and weight and carry band-aids with me. If I don't know, or I know for sure that Derek doesn't have that, I definitely want to have those things on me. And so it's always just a balancing act, and it really comes down to what your priorities are, right? And we talk about priorities all the time, but, like, for me, a big priority is just being prepared and being that person who can save the day for another dad, or help out in a situation that my family is having. And so I do have that kind of minimum required loadout list of what I'm going to have on my person at all times, just in case.
And I will say, like, because we've mentioned a lot in this episode here, a multi-tool, a great thing to have. You don't need to have it. A Second Amendment item, that is our own personal preference. You don't need to have that. If you want to walk out of your house in your basketball shorts, cool. But at the minimum, we are saying have that ouchie boo boo kit, or whatever you called it, because you're going to need that more often than you're going to need your multi-tool. I will say, because I've been there, my kids going for let's say a walk or going to the park, they hurt themselves and they want that band-aid then and now, because my kids are very demanding, kind of thing.
Well, and so I will say, like, practically, like, my 3-tier thing, right? I always have a knife on me, because cutting things. I always have a multi-tool on me. That's realistically just the luxury of a knife. It gives me the knife, it gives me scissors for all of those delicate cutting tasks. It gives me a file, it gives me a can opener, a bottle opener, it gives me pliers, it gives me a lot of things in a multi-tool. And then I always have a light on me. And
I've seen that.
We had this conversation. You gave me shit about it in a previous episode.
I did, and I will forever give you shit about it.
So, like, I, again, sitting at my desk, I have a flashlight on me. Because the flashlight on your cell phone sucks.
Yes,
it's designed.
You cannot
it's designed
direct it.
It's designed as a camera flash. It's not designed as a flashlight. And if I'm looking for a piece of a toy that fell into a couch cushion, or if I'm looking for a screw that fell underneath a table, or if I'm looking for, God's forbid, a screw that fell into my engine compartment and I'm
That's what I
trying
was
to find
thinking.
where that bolt came off when I was undoing my battery terminal. This light is directional. This light is intentional. This light is specific. Um, for me, because again, I'm a gear nerd, you'll notice that this light has a hair tie on it.
Those O-rings.
The hair tie is beneficial for two reasons. One, I have long hair and sometimes I need a hair tie. I also have a wife and sometimes she needs a hair tie. Additionally, I have glasses, and if I need this thing to be a headlamp, all I have to do is slide that hair tie up the stem of my glasses, and then I have a hands-free way to have a light on my face that looks wherever I'm looking, and it turns this light into a headlamp. I will go to the ends of the earth to sell people on the idea of carrying a dedicated flashlight. It is the piece of gear that I use the most, maybe second to a pair of scissors, to be entirely honest. But like being able to find my kid's toy when it hits the floor, one of the most valuable things that I've learned, especially as a dad, if you set this on the ground with the light on, pointing at a flat surface of the ground, if you drop a glass and it shatters, that light will pick up every single shard of glass on the ground that could potentially hurt you or your wife or your kid. Being able to find those threats, it's a huge reason to carry a piece of gear.
You kind of sold me on that one because that makes a lot of sense.
It's not an everyday occurrence, right? Like my kid doesn't throw glass at the floor every day, thank the gods. But like but like it really is like when I need a flashlight, my cell phone is not the flashlight that I need. And so many people that I've talked to are like, why do you carry a flashlight? Your phone has that. That's designed to be a selfie flashlight. That's designed to take photos as a flash. You 100% are. You've given me shit for it.
Like I said, I will give you shit, but like it makes sense. But like, you know, kind of to round this whole episode out, like flip-flops, terrible idea. Because again, if you have to run for whatever reason, your kid takes off in a parking lot, maybe I'll stop wearing flip-flops. Yeah,
good luck catching your kid.
We live in Arizona, okay? My ass is not running on that asphalt at 110 plus degrees when my shoes come off, my flip-flops come off. Like, it's not practical. Weight wise, I'm thinking Fallout the entire time. You know, going back to our Fallout episode, my Fallout tattoo, I've been playing a lot of Fallout lately. It's a lot of weight for some basketball shorts. It's not practical. You don't have to wear cargo shorts or fucking 511s or any of that shit. Just think of that shit. Multi-tools, it's better to have and you know, better to have and not need than need not have, or whatever you said in the beginning. Flashlights, again, that small flashlight, you don't have to get a fucking Milwaukee fucking powered battery powered bullshit.
Well,
that little thing.
All of this comes down to, again, going back to my core principle here, you're giving yourself options.
Yes.
I don't have to take out that flashlight when the lights go out, but I can. I am able to attack that problem, and consider what those options look like for you, and consider what you want to have as options in a given situation, and really just, you know, weigh those checks and balances of, is it worth the weight that I'm carrying? Is it worth the space that it takes up on my body? I've mentioned it a couple times. My like minimum checklist, I don't leave the house without a multi-tool, a flashlight, a dedicated knife, and a pen. And
pens are always useful.
Having a pen, like it's just a thing for me. Like whenever you need to sign your name on something, or even like when the bill comes at a restaurant and you need to sign that check, like, yeah, are they probably going to have a pen for you? Sure. Is it kind of cheesy and lame that you have to wait for somebody else to bring you a pen? 100%.
Or the pen doesn't work, because I've run into that more times than I could count.
Yep. 100%. I mean, weird philosophy things like the pen that I carry on me. I don't know if I'm going to give away that piece of information. You know what? I like you guys, so I will. I carry a blue ink pen. And I started doing this in college because for most things, you're going to need a blue or black ink because that's legal requirements for things. And almost everybody uses black ink. So when I put my name on something, if it is in blue ink, it is distinct and I can pick myself out of a list and I can say, yes, that was me. I signed that because that's my signature and it's in blue ink versus no, somebody forged that because it doesn't actually look like the way I signed my name. And I always use blue ink and that person signed in black.
Very smart. Little tip for everybody listening. If you have made it this
wild
far.
Conspiracy tip in case anybody is signing your name and forging your documents.
I might carry a black or a blue pen now.
Hey man,
I have a doctor's signature, so it's easy to fucking forge my signature because I'm a doctor. In case y'all didn't know.
Yeah, Dr. Mata, appreciate your time.
Yeah, you know, this is what I do.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. I know we went off on 1,000,001 tangents, but
yes,
the core crux of this episode is take care of yourself. Have the things that you need to get through a day. And if you start to notice that if you start to notice that you're missing something and say like, man, I wish I had XYZ on me. Maybe carry XYZ on you. It's not that hard. We've been posting a lot more short form content lately. We've been really kicking up our YouTube shorts and our TikTok page. Let us know what you think of that content. We've seen a lot of views and a decent amount of likes, but we really want to know, like, is that something that you like? Is that something that you want more of? Is that something that you want us to shut up and stop making? Let us know down in the comments below. All of our social media links are listed down below. You can always find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, basically wherever you are, we try to be there. You can also email us at proudofyoudads@gmail.com. This podcast exists to build a community, right? We want to reach as many dads as we can and hear as many opinions as we can because Derek and I have drastically different parenting styles, and we like discussing the fact that I carry a flashlight and he doesn't. But but we want to know what you're doing and what you're struggling with and what you're succeeding at, and hopefully that information can help reach some of the dads that are listening to this show.
And if you want to be on the show for whatever reason, like let us know. Like we have all of our social medias. The only thing we don't have is Facebook right now. Like if you want to be on the show to just tell anybody about something you're going through, let us know. We will put you on. We love guest speakers. And I'm going to point it out. Everybody loved your dad being on. I want your dad on again for something. We will find a way for your dad to be on, or anybody listening. If you want your dad to be on with you, let us know. Let's do it because our parents have so much to teach us. And again, building a community of dads, like who's going to know better than our own fathers, our own mothers even.
I'm never done learning from my dad.
I wish I had a dad. I'm just kidding. Anyways.
On that bright note, thank you for spending your time with us. Until next week, I'm Andrew Goody.
And I'm Derek Mata.
And we are proud of you.